والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم ربنا لك الحمد حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم اجعله خالصا لوجهك الكريم لا ابتغاء سمعة ولا شهرة ولا رياء. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I hope inshallah you are all well. On my right there is the king. He says he's the royal king. So everybody must show respect to the king. He's nice. Alright, after you give him your pledge of allegiance, bay'ah with him. The Battle of Uhud, as we have seen, led to the martyrdom, the shahada of 70 of the Sahaba. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was attacked and he was hurt and he bled profusely, alayhi salatu wasalam. The Battle of Uhud, of course, the second battle in the history of Islam, the first being Badr, and we said that the ulama said the Battle of Badr taught the Sahaba and the Muslims at the time the meaning of La ilaha illallah. That Allah Ta'ala is the one who does. Allah is the one who gives victory when He wants to. And that despite the small number of the people of Badr, 317 against 1,000, Allah Ta'ala gave them a decisive defeat, a decisive victory, and defeated the enemies. And they did everything they could, however, because Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala created this universe, and in this universe there are sunan kawniyya, there are universal laws. And if you follow, then Allah Ta'ala wants you to do your best, and then Allah Ta'ala does whatever He sees best and where there is wisdom. So the ulama say, the scholars say, the Battle of Badr showed them, demonstrated to them, taught them the meaning of La ilaha illallah, that you obey Allah Ta'ala and you have your trust in Allah Ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala can give you victory even over a large number. The issue is not size, but the issue is you try your best and you have reliance on Allah Ta'ala, you believe in Allah, and Allah Ta'ala will give you victory as He has promised. And Allah showed us this again and again in the lives of the prophets before. The question is a question of iman, but also iman alone is not sufficient. One has to take the asbab. You take all the necessary means and you trust the Rabbul Asbab, the Lord of means, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and then Allah shows. Allah gives you. Look at the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam when he escaped with Bani Israel. And they faced the sea, and behind him was Fir'aun and his armies. The Bani Israel at the time, whose iman was weak, they said, Inna al-mudrakun, we are going to be destroyed. Fir'aun and his army will catch us, and we are gone. But Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, whose iman was strong and firm, and he learned the lesson previously with the stick, with the staff, when it appeared to him a snake, but Allah Ta'ala made it back into a staff, and the staff became a snake. Allah does. And when Musa alayhi salam heard from his people that they said, we are going to be destroyed, he says, no, Rabbi, Allah is with me. My Lord is with me, He will guide me. And Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala commanded Musa to do something that was unscientific. It goes against the intellect. Right? Scientifically it's impossible. Intellectually it's impossible. What did Allah say to Musa? No problems, take the staff, the very stick that you thought was a stick and I made it into a snake, and you thought it was a snake and I made it into a stick. Now what you do with it? You strike the ocean with it, the sea. Musa alayhi salam did not question the command. And he did, and the sea was split, and the Bani Israel were saved. We know the story. In all of these lessons is the lesson of iman. That ultimately Allah Ta'ala is the doer. He does when he wants and how he wants and for the reasons that he wants. Sometimes we understand, sometimes we don't understand, full stop. But the nature of iman is istislam. You submit to Allah, you do your best, you have iman in Allah, you rely on Allah, and then you accept what comes. The Battle of Uhud taught them something else. Muhammad Rasulullah taught them the value of believing and following the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said to them, to the archers, don't dismount the mountain regardless. If you see us dead on the ground and the birds are snatching our bodies, don't come to our rescue. But they dismounted, and this led to a heavy loss, from which 70 of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu became shuhada, martyrs. Hamza and Mus'ab ibn Umayr and Hanzala and others. And from this, the ulama say that the nusra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the assistance of Allah ta'ala, was uplifted and raised when they disobeyed. Whether, of course, it was a misunderstanding. They didn't disobey Rasulullah deliberately. The Sahaba would not do that. It was a failure, it's a misunderstanding. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to teach them and us, by extension, a lesson. You disobey Allah or you disobey His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there will be consequences. There will be consequences. We saw how Rasulullah sallallahu then took shelter in Uhud, and those who have been to Medina and went to Jabal Uhud, it's a mighty mountain, right? And if we were there, we would show you where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went. Of course, you can imagine the morale, the azima of the Sahaba could have been completely destroyed. And Rasulullah is bleeding. He's sitting right with them and he's bleeding. At that point, when the situation calmed down, the mushrikeen now feel with Abu Sufyan and others that they have been victorious. So Abu Sufyan, from the field where he was standing, he looks at the mountain and he calls out. Because they believe that the battle is not won until Muhammad is dead, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Abu Sufyan calls out and he says, is Muhammad among you? They want to answer. Rasulullah says, don't respond to him. He says, is Abu Bakr among you? Don't respond. Is Umar among you? Don't respond. And he only asks about those three people. Because those three people are very, very important, and they are decisive, and they are the pillars of the time. Then when he did not hear a response, because Rasulullah said to them, don't respond, Abu Sufyan said, he says, Hubal is mighty. Muhammad is dead, Abu Bakr is dead, Umar is dead, Hubal, the statue that they used to worship, is mighty. Umar could not take it, radiallahu anhu. And then he raised his voice, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Umar said, Kadabta ya adu Allah, you, O enemy of Allah, you are a liar. May Allah humiliate you. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, anyone would like to respond to Sufyan, Abu Sufyan, now when he says, Hubal is mighty. They said, what should we say, O Rasulullah? He says to them, say, Allahu a'la wa ajal. He says, Hubal is mighty. Say to them, Allah is mighty and Allah is glorified. Abu Sufyan said, Lana al-uzza wa lakum. He says, we have the honor, we have defeated you, you have the grace, you have been disgraced. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Ajibuh, respond to him. قالوا ما نقول, what should we say, O Rasulullah? He says, say to them, Allahu mawlana wa la mawla lakum. Allah is our guardian, and you have no guardian. Allah is our mawla, and you have no mawla. Abu Sufyan says, Yawmun bi yawmi Badr. This day is in return for Badr. What you did to us in Badr, we have done to you in Uhud. And war is, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Today we have won. Then Umar radiallahu anhu responded to him and he says, no, we are not the same. You may have seemingly won, but your dead are in Jahannam and our shuhada are in Jannah. Your dead are in hellfire, but ours are in Jannah, inshaAllah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after a while when Abu Sufyan had left, they waited to see if they could catch Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but they could not, so he left. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to check the shuhada. And this was his habit alayhi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam after every ghazwa. So for example, after one battle, he went to check the shuhada, and among the shuhada was a man by the name of Abu Kirkira. This is not in Uhud, some other time. Abu Kirkira, it's an amazing story because he used to serve Rasulullah and he actually used to hold the reins of the camel of Rasulullah and take it around. This is how close he was. And after the battle, as they were checking the martyrs, the Sahaba were saying, Shaheed, Shaheed, Shaheed. When they came to him, they said, Shaheed. The Prophet said, no, he's not. He will be taken into account and he will go to Jahannam. Na'udhu billah. They were very, very scared when they heard that because he was serving Rasulullah, he was close to him. This is why, Ya Rasulullah, he says, because he took a garment from the ghanaim, from the booty, before it was distributed. He took it, which it did not belong to him. Think about this carefully. Because Allah Ta'ala is alim mutlaq. Allah is absolutely just. Allah is absolutely just. Yes, a person who dies in the battlefield before their blood reaches the ground, they are forgiven. But there are certain actions and certain deeds that Allah Ta'ala will withhold the martyr from entering into Jannah or from being forgiven until these are fulfilled, such as debt, for instance. If he has debt, and that's why debt is very dangerous. And secondly, in this case, somebody who has committed a sin, in this case, by stealing or taking a abaya or a garment that does not belong to him. And if you think of what happens today in the Muslim world or the other part of the world, when a person is at a place of responsibility, and they are meant to guard the welfare of their nation and community, and instead steal the wealth of their nation. This is a person who was close to Rasulullah and he took a garment before it was distributed, and he will be taken to task for it. And today, people in authority, they steal billions, and they feel they will not be taken into account before Allah Ta'ala. We have to be very mindful, especially a person who is in a place of authority and has responsibility over the affairs of a community in terms of their collecting funds from them or distributing money. They have to be 100% careful not to take anything without rights, because Allah will take it into account. Umar radiallahu anhu, it is said, he used to go around when he was Khalifa in the streets of Medina. And you know, they didn't have the clothes they had, they weren't finely sewn like this. Sometimes, because of the way they were cut, the cotton threads, the khuyub, they would be, and so sometimes he would walk around the streets of Medina and he'll find cotton threads, khuyub. He would take it. If he saw the house, he would throw it back in. He said, fear Allah and do not waste. Allah will take you to account for this. Allah will take you to account. The fact that a person is in a place of authority does not give him the right or her the right to transgress the limits of Allah. And if they do, it doesn't mean they will not be taken into account. They will be. In fact, the more a person is responsible for the community affairs, the more they will be taken into account. Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahmatullahi alayhi, the fifth Khalifa, not chronologically. You know the famous story. He only served as Khalifa for 3 years, that's it. He was a young man when he died. But there was a lot of justice during his time. Because he was very particular. They took leadership as a very, very heavy responsibility. And Umar bin Abdul Aziz, rahmatullahi alayhi, one night when he was doing some work and he had a candle lit. And so a man came to ask him for something. Before he asked him, Umar said, is it private or public? Is it a private matter or relating to the Ummah, public? He said, no, it's a private matter that I'm asking about. Umar said, okay. So the candle that he had, he blew it off. And he lit another candle. Just a candle. And they talked, and then when they finished, the man was inquisitive. He said, I don't understand. This is a candle and this is a candle. You had a candle, you turned it off, then you put another candle on. Why? He says, when I was doing some work, I was doing it for the community. And therefore I was using a candle from the treasury, from the wealth of the community, because it was a public affair, so I was using a candle that belonged to the community. When you said it's a private personal matter, I extinguished the candle that belongs to the community, and I turned on the candle that belongs to me. That's how particular they were. Because they knew there will be a day that will come. You see, this is not a joke. A day will come when people will be taken to task. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to say, I wish I was a plant. I was created as a plant to be eaten and chewed by a goat, because at least I will not be taken into account. Uthman radiallahu anhu ibn Affan, the wealthy Uthman radiallahu anhu, he was very wealthy. Allah gave him. And when one day a person went to Rasulullah asking for some money, and Rasulullah didn't have it, so he said, go to Uthman and said to him, I sent you, he will give you. And the man went, he knocked on the door, but before Uthman responded, he heard Uthman say to his wife, why are you wasting the oil when you are lighting the candle, the lamp? They had lamps, and it was the twick, the little, what do you call it, the twick, the cloth that has the oil and you turn it on. And she had increased it unnecessarily. He said, why are you wasting? So the man said, I'm coming to ask him for some money, and he's reprimanding his wife because she's wasting some oil. He's not going to give me anything. As he was walking away, Uthman opened the door and he said, you knocked and you're leaving, what's the matter? He said, it's all right, don't worry about it. What do you mean, don't worry about it? You come to me at this hour? He said, well, the story is like this. I came to ask you for something, but I think you're a bit stingy, you know, you're telling your wife not to waste some of the lamp oil. Uthman said, wait. He went inside, he brought some money, and he gave it to him. He had taken it. The man now was confused. He said, what do you mean? What's going on? He says, listen, my brother, the wealth that Allah gave me is not mine. It's a trust. When the rightful owners come, like you, I will give it. And the fact that I have it, it does not give me the right to waste it. I can't waste it. Whether it's my wife or my son who waste, we can't waste it. Yeah, these people had a different mindset. Yeah, we talk about Islam, you know, we think we are practicing, mashallah, Islam. They had a different mindset, right? Completely different. And that is why when Abu Sufyan had gone, and Rasulullah came to check the shuhada, he went to see Hamza radiallahu anhu. What these mushrikeen did, was not only they killed those shuhada, but they mutilated their bodies. Sometimes, some they cut their noses off, they cut their ears. They were full of rage. So they cut some of these Sahaba's noses off, they cut some of their ears off, they opened their stomachs, they did horrible things. So much so that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came and saw Hamza radiallahu anhu, as we saw last week, he wept. Never before did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam weep with so much sobbing. And when he went around and he saw what they have done to the other Sahaba, he made a qasam. He made an oath. He took an oath. And he said, Wallahi, when we fight them again, and when we kill them, I will do to them what they have done to our shuhada and more. Listening to what he said, as they mutilated the body of the shuhada, I will do the same to them with them. But this is unacceptable. Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. They say two wrongs don't make a right. And Rasulullah ﷺ, he is representing Allah. And so immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to him, وَإِنْ عَاقَبْتُمْ فَعَاقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا عُقِبْتُمْ بِهِ. Don't even think about it, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The mutilation of the deceased, of the dead people, even if they are your enemies, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. Not only this, not only are you not allowed, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and your ummah after you, to mutilate the body of the enemies, but in fact, if you are patient, it is much better for you. Islam came to regulate our lives. Islam came to regulate human life. That's why the word deen in Arabic, I think it's wrong to translate it as religion. Religion in the Western mind is very privatized and it's confined to certain aspects. Deen in Islam is a way of life. Everything you do as a Muslim should be deen and should be guided by deen. Whether in the battlefield or inside the house, whether at work, whether in the masjid. Deen regulates. And the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us deen is to save us from our own hawa, from our own whims and desires. Because if you leave it to humans to decide, then they will do this. They will mutilate because of anger, because of rage. Allah ta'ala says, no, this deen is meant to refine you as a human being. And the default position is not war, is not to go and kill people. But if necessary, and there is war, then you minimize the damage. You minimize the damage. And part of that minimization of damage is not to mutilate the body of those who have died, even if they are enemies. And because Rasulullah made a qasam at that time, he took an oath that he would do to them what they did to him, and then Allah said to him, no, you can't do that. He had to go and fast because of the qasam that he made. In other words, I should not have said that. The other thing that happened in the battle, when Rasulullah saw what they have done to the Sahaba and to Hamza radiallahu anhu, he actually raised his hand, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he made an ajib dua. For a man who was under so much pressure, he raised his hand and he said, Allahumma ighfir li qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Oh Allah, forgive my people because they don't know. If they knew, And I find this, and some of the ulama commented on this, and I find it very interesting because one, he called them my qawm, my people. Because his mission was to invite them to Islam. Unfortunately, they resisted and they rejected. And it was a last resort. Oh, Allah forgive them. Because they don't know. If they knew, they would not have done that. When he checked the martyrs, he did something that is extraordinary also, which sometimes you don't hear it when you listen to the Seera of Rasulullah. These things are skipped. It's interesting when we teach sometimes the Seera to the children and we talk about the battlefield, the emphasis is always on the fighting and who died and who did not die. But there is some unique aspects to the Seera that are very important to highlight. And in this case, when Abu Sufyan and the army had gone, and Rasulullah is now in the field, and he has seen the Sahaba who have died, Shuhada, he asked for them to be buried. And of course the Shaheed does not, you don't wash the Shaheed and you don't pray on the Shaheed. So Rasulullah, because they didn't have enough cloth to cover them, sometimes he would wrap two at a time, two in the same cloth. But he would say, who is the one who knew Quran most? Put them first in the lahad, in the grave, and then put the other on top and bury them. When he had done all of that, and those who go for Hajj or Umrah, and you go to visit Medina, you go to Shuhada Uhud, and you see the area. Now when you go next time, you think of this. After he did this, he buried the Sahaba, radiallahu anhu. He prayed Dhuhr Salah. But he prayed Dhuhr Salah sitting down. Because he was bleeding so much, he could not stand. So he sat down, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as you know, if the Imam prays sitting down, everybody else should pray behind him sitting down. So they all prayed behind him sitting down. After he had finished salah, he looked back and he said, straighten your lines because we will turn to Allah in dua. And he made a most powerful and amazing dua. Remember Ta'if, what happened after Ta'if? Remember what happened? And it's interesting because he is a messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the standards are not compromised. In Ta'if, after what seems to be a heavy loss also. In Ta'if, a heavy loss. He went to Ta'if thinking they'll give him, they'll accommodate him. When he walked on foot with Zayd radiallahu anhu 60 miles. And they pelted him with stones. You remember the story. And he fainted and he woke up. If it was anybody else, if you want proof that this Muhammad was a Nabi and a messenger of Allah, these incidents alone demonstrate his nubuwwah, his prophethood. Because anybody else who would be treated like this, he would be full of rage and anger. And when the opportunity arises, when he has the power and the strength to revenge, they would do so. And that's exactly what Rasulullah was given, the opportunity to revenge. When he was told that Allah has seen what they have done to you, and He's telling you, you just give the command, and the angels surrounding the mountains of Mecca will collapse them on the people because of what they have done to you on Ta'if. But he turned to Allah and dua. Allahumma inni ashku ilayka dha'fa quwwati wa qillata hiyati wa hawani 'ala an-nas. Ya Allah, I complain to you of my own weakness. Allah. He wasn't complaining against them. Ya Allah, I complain to you of my own weakness and my small position in the eyes of people and my loss of power. But Ya Allah, as long as you are pleased with me, it doesn't matter what they have done to me. Tawheed, imaan. Here, after this massive loss, and not just any loss, Hamza radiallahu anhu, for whom Rasulullah wept. Now Rasulullah says, straighten your lines. And he turns to Allah. And he makes his dua, Allahumma laka alhamdu kullu. Ya Allah, to you belongs all praise. Allahumma la qabida lima basat. O Allah, none can withhold what you give. Wa la basita lima qadat, and none can give what you withhold. وَلَا هَادِيَ لِمَا أَضْلَلْتَ, and none can give guidance to you, to those whom you lead astray. وَلَا مُضِلَّ لِمَا هَدَيْتَ, and none can misguide those whom you guide. وَلَا مُعْطِي لِمَا مَنَعْتَ, and none can give what you prevent. وَلَا مَانِعَ لِمَا أَعْطَيْتَ, and none can prevent when you decide to give. وَلَا مُقَرِّبَ لِمَا بَعَدْتَ, and nobody can come closer to you if you move them away. وَلَا مُبَعِّدَ لِمَا قَرَّبْتَ, and nobody can move away if you bring them close. اللهم ابسط علينا من بركاتك ورحمتك وفضلك ورزقك. O Allah, bestow upon us from your rahmah, your mercy, and your fadl, your grace, and your rizq, and your sustenance. اللهم إني أسألك النعيم المقيم الذي لا يحول ولا يزول. O Allah, I ask you for the everlasting bounty and bliss of the hereafter, which does not diminish, nor does it incur any loss. اللهم إني أسألك النعيم يوم الغلبة. O Allah, I ask you for na'im, real bliss on the day when there will be so many losses. وَالْأَمْنَ يَوْمَ الْخَوْفِ, and I ask you, Allah, for safety on the day of real fear, the day of judgment, when people will be truly frightened. اللهم عائذا بك من شر ما أعطيتنا وشر ما منعتنا. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evil of whatever you give, and from the evil of whatever you withhold. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا. O Allah, make us love Iman and decorate it in our hearts. وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان, and make us dislike disbelief, and make us hate transgression, and make us hate sin. واجعلنا من الراشدين, and make us of those who are guided. اللهم توفنا مسلمين. O Allah, cause us to die as Muslims. وأحينا مسلمين, and allow us to live as Muslims. وألحقنا بالصالحين, and make us follow the righteous. غير خزايا ولا نادمين, and let us follow the righteous, and do not make us regret on the day of judgment. ولا مفتونين, and do not trial us in this dunya to the point that we go astray. That's the concern. That's the concern. And at the end, اللهم قاتل الكفرة الذين يكذبون رسلك. O Allah, fight the disbelievers who disbelieve in your messengers. وَيَصُدُّونَ عَنْ سَبِيلِكَ, and they prevent people from coming to your deen. This is the dua of a person who have just lost 70 of his sahaba. My brothers and sisters, each one of us have their own battles in life. Whether it is a battle with your health, your family, your children, your wealth, your job, whatever it might be. How do you respond when you are challenged in this life and you think you are losing or you have lost something? How do you respond? Do we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in dua? Is He not sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the qudwa hasana, the uswa hasana? Is He not the role model? Or do we follow Him only when it's convenient and when it's suitable? The real iman is tested when you are under difficulties. In the imtihan, يكرم المرء ويهان. They said at the time of test, you are honored or you are humiliated. وعند الامتحان يتأخر الإيمان. Sometimes when you are tested, the iman evaporates. Allah tests us sometimes with small things. Do we turn to Allah like Rasulullah turned to Him? Because the entire issue is about your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla, my relationship with Allah Ta'ala, His relationship with Allah Ta'ala. This is what He's teaching us, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The whole 3/4 of the dua, no, He didn't make dua against them. The whole concern is as long as the iman is intact, as long as my relationship with Allah is intact, everything else can be lost. Doesn't matter. As long as you allow me to live as a Muslim, He's saying, and as long as you let me die as a Muslim, it doesn't matter. Nowadays, when we are challenged with slight difficulties, slight challenges, do we first turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You go and make 2 rak'at salah, Ya Allah. Is that how we do? Do we turn to Allah ta'ala, beg Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, I'm being tested, Ya Allah, help? Or do we become despondent, lose hope? Woe is me. Why me? This is the lesson. And if we think we will not be tested in this dunya, then we are joking ourselves. Everybody will be tested. The question is not whether we will be tested, but the question is, how do you respond when you are tested? How do you respond? How do we respond when we are tested? إنما الصبر عند الصدمة الأولى. Real patience is that the initial shock. Initial shock. And Rasulullah is teaching us here the power of dua. That even if everything seems to have gone wrong, even if everything seems to have gone against what you have wanted, don't you ever forget the importance of dua and the power of dua. Dua mukh al-ibadah. Dua is the mukh, the word mukh is the essence, the brains of ibadah. And when you make a dua, don't you ever say, as Rasulullah said, don't you ever say, I made dua but Allah did not respond. Because you are the abd. And the abd's role is to ask only. The abd, you are the slave. The slave only has the responsibility of asking, the duty of asking. But the slave does not have a say in when and how Allah will respond. And a slave has no right to demand of Allah, I ask you, why didn't you give? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Allah will continue to respond to your dua as long as you don't say, I made dua but he did not respond. Allah will continue to respond to your dua as long as you don't say, I made dua but then nothing happened. Oh, I've been making dua for so long, nothing has happened. Somebody came to me some few weeks ago. They said, I've been making dua for so long for something, but it hasn't happened. I said, maybe the fact that it hasn't happened is good for you. Allah knows. You know, the great alim in the past, I forgot his name, he said, when I make dua, Allah gives me what I want, I become happy. But when I make dua, Allah doesn't give me what I want, I become 10 times happier. They said, why? He says, because I know Allah, what Allah knows, what is best for me is better than what I know is best for me. You just ask and you leave it. Years ago, some sheikh said to us, when you ask, bundle your dua and give it to Allah. Bundle it and give it to Allah. That's it. That's all your job. And wait. You just wait. Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, if Allah gives me tawfiq to make dua, I don't worry about the answer. Tawfiq, dua, tawfiq. إذا وفقت بالدعاء لا أسأل عن الإجابة. If Allah gives me the tawfiq to raise my hands, because tawfiq is divine ability, if Allah allows me to raise my hands and make dua, I don't worry about the answer. Why not? Because the job is done. The job is done. Your job is to make dua. And that's why Rasulullah said, Allah will continue to respond to your dua as long as you don't say, I made dua but Allah did not respond. And Allah will respond to your dua in one of three ways. Either He will give you what you have asked for, if He thinks and if Allah knows it is best for you in dunya and akhirah, He will give it to you here. Or if He does not give you exactly what you have asked for, He may remove away from you a difficulty, a calamity, a challenge that was coming upon you, but you are not aware. And the dua, because of your dua, Allah removes that challenge, that difficulty, that calamity. Again, you don't know that He has removed it. You're going driving to work. And then suddenly, without prior planning, you decided, you know what, I always go this way, I'm going to go this way this time. You just went. And not to your knowledge, later you found out there was a massive accident that happened on that road. There was a true story, a mother whose young son was doing everything haram. Muslim lady. And she said one day her son wanted to go to Thailand, to do haram in Thailand. And he had booked an air ticket, and his flight was early morning. So he said to her, please wake me up. Wake me up. I can't miss my flight. The next morning she did not wake him up. She said, I will not wake him up because I know he was going overseas to do haram. He woke up super angry. I missed my flight. What happened to my flight? I told you to wake me up. The poor mother just cocked it and kept quiet. It wasn't until the evening that he heard on the news that the flight that he was taking blew up. Everybody died. That was his return to Allah. He made tawbah. He said, see, you don't know. So Allah could remove away a calamity from you. Or thirdly, Allah Ta'ala will say to you on the Day of Judgment, O Ahmad, on Friday night in Al-Khalil Masjid, when you were sitting listening to the Seera, in your heart you made such and such dua. Nobody heard it but me. And I didn't give you what you asked for in dunya. But today I will give you what you have asked. And when Allah Ta'ala gives this person what he has asked for in dunya, this person will say, I wish none of my du'as were accepted in dunya. I wish I wasn't given anything I asked for in dunya so that Allah can give it to me all in the hereafter. In other words, the mu'min is hopeful. He's mutafa'il. He's optimistic. He never gives up. He never gives up. Your job is to ask, full stop. That's it. Don't worry about the rest. Don't worry. You're in good hands. We stress, most of the time people stress for things that don't happen anyway. Relax, enjoy the ride. Believe, trust. Al-imaan, Al-Imam al-Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayhi says, Al-iman comes from the root al-aman. Aman means to feel secure. And if you truly have iman, you will feel secure that you are in good hands. Allah. And he gave this example. He says, you know the baby. A baby, if a mother has a baby. Inshallah, I'm finished. Give me a few minutes. A baby doesn't walk, doesn't talk. How much does the baby trust its mother? How much? so much that imagine, he says, if the mother was to take this baby and put him on the cupboard, and he says, come, jump, jump, come on, jump, darling. He's on a high place, but the mother is there. Would the baby jump or not? Jump? Would the baby jump? Of course it will jump. Why? Trust. I'm in good hands. My mother will never let me go. This is imaan. Trust. Trust. This is what Rasul is teaching us. Sometimes we focus on the details of the battle. But no, Allah is trying to teach us something else. Trust. Let go. Trust. Do what you can. But no need to worry, no need to stress. There's a nice story, and it's a story, it's not a hadith or anything, and there's a moral behind it. So don't come and say to me, what is the dalil for it? Because it's a story. But it's a nice story, it's not a ribah. And this was mentioned by some famous personality, I can't remember the name. But he wants to, he says, you know, those who try to climb Mount Everest, it's not an easy task. Anyway, one of the best climbers and few others climbing. And they could see the top. And they said to him, look, we think we should take a break because it's a little bit cloudy and it's getting dark, so let us stop. He said, well, I can see the top, I need to keep going. They said, we are going to stop, you can keep going. He kept going, climbing, and now he can't see anything. And suddenly he put his foot in the wrong place. And it's a free fall from there. He just fell. Free fall. He kept falling until the rope, became tight. Now he's suspended. Can you imagine? It's dark, it's cold. He has just fallen. He's grabbing onto the rope. Full of fear, and he can't see under him. He can't see under him. He can't see above him. All he knows, if I let go, I'm gone. So it says, as he's holding so tight, he hears a voice that it says to him, let go. Just let go. Trust. But he didn't. So the next morning they found him frozen, dead on the road, and between him and land there was half a meter, which he could not see. Had he let go, he would have landed safely. You have to trust. This is what Rasul is saying. Allahumma la qadira lima rasam, wa la basita lima khubar, wa la mani'a lima a'tayt, wa la mu'ti lima a'tayt. Ya Allah, it is you who give. Ya Allah, it is you who take. Ya Allah, if you give, nobody can stop it. Ya Allah, if you stop, nobody can give. Iman, 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 iman. Right? And this is what the Sahaba needed to learn, because you see, Allah had chosen this ummah to be the last. And those Sahaba to be the best of the best, and they have a huge responsibility on their shoulders. Because after the death of Rasulullah, Allah knows that they have to take this deen to everywhere. And if they don't learn these lessons now, you can't. It's a huge responsibility. You can't say we are the khayr ummah, the best of ummah, brought out for humanity to invite them to Allah, and the iman is not solid. No. You have to learn. You have to learn. If you don't trust in Allah, if you don't follow Rasulullah, you can't succeed. You can't. And they were like mountains after that. One of the tabi'i asked, one of the Sahaba, أكان الصحابة يضحكون. One of the tabi'i, the followers of the companions, Rasulullah, then the Sahaba, the companions, the tabi'un, those who followed the companions, the students of the companions. He asked them, because when they saw the Sahaba, these were like, and they were something else, the men and the women. So he said, did they laugh? I mean, he couldn't imagine that the Sahaba laughed. أكان الصحابة يضحكون. قال نعم ولكن الإيمان في قلوبهم كالجبال. He said, yes, they laughed, but iman in their heart was like mountains. Iman in the hearts was like mountains. Yes, they laughed. والله إنكم لتعملون بأعمال, he says to the tabi'i, في أعينكم هي أدق من الشعر. He says, do you, when you, the Sahabi, he says to the tabi'i, he says, you do certain things in your eyes, it seems like as thin as the hair. ولكن كنا نعدها من الموبقات. But we used to think of those same small sins that you commit that in your eyes are like a hair thread. In our days we used to believe these will destroy us. The difference. So, Rasulullah is teaching us and teaching the Sahaba, and because it is so important, line up, he said, turn your attention to Allah. We are going to beseech Allah. We are going to be asking Allah. This is important. Because of the qana'ah, the conviction that Allah responds. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام إن الله لا يقبل الدعاء من قلب لاهٍ. Allah does not accept a dua from a heart that is heedless. The lips move. The heart is thinking of dinner. Right? Because we don't know who we're asking. Qalb that is lahi, a heart that is heedless. The mouth is moving with some words, but where is the heart? What is the heart thinking of? Is the heart believing that if I ask, Allah will give? Is the heart believing that Allah Ta'ala is the one who does? May Allah Azza wa Jalla strengthen our iman. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give us ikhlas. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allow us to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give this ummah izzah that He gave it to them before. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala use us for the khidmah of His deen. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give us sincerity. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allow us to have tawakkul in Him as we should have tawakkul in Him. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give our brothers and sisters tawfiq to live as Muslims and to die as Muslims. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allow us to serve His deen in this country and not to follow our desires and temptations. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allow us to be in this country, Australia, as dua, as people who invite to Allah through their words and through their deeds. And may Allah Ta'ala save us from our temptations and our desires. And may Allah Ta'ala save us and ummah from the tricks of shaitan. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.